Hi there everyone and welcome back to my Consultant Explorer channel. I'm Charlie and I'm here to help you explore the early career years of technology consulting, help you to be successful at it and show you the opportunities that it can open up for you. I spent 8.5 years at Accenture building the most incredible launchpad for my own career, and now that I'm starting and running my own businesses, I get to choose what I work on whenever and wherever I want to in the world. And that's the kind of freedom I can help you find ultimately in your journey, which starts just as mine did in technology consulting. Today I'm excited to be recording from Lisbon Old Town, and I figured that this background could show you just a little bit of its character. Some of the questions that everyone has when they're considering joining consulting is, what do all these different consulting companies actually do? What types of problems do they help clients solve? And these are important questions because knowing the answer helps you understand what you would be doing if you joined a particular consultancy. And if you're already working in consulting, then it might be that you've been a little bit surprised by the kind of work that you're being asked to do. And so you're considering researching whether other consultancies might present a better option for you because you prefer the kinds of problems that they would solve. But how can you really know what each consultancy does? The answer actually isn't so simple, but I'm going to give you a simple way to understand it. You will see that a lot of different companies all call themselves management consultancies, even though they all do completely different things. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to a spectrum of consulting as I see it, which will hopefully give you a sense of all the different things that consultancies can do, and it will give you a framework so that you can position and place and categorize the consultancies that you might be researching. And in order to introduce that spectrum, I'm going to follow a case study, an example client organization with example problems and example consultancies to come in to help fix those problems. Telling it in this story format should really bring it to life and make it as relatable and memorable as possible. So let's start with what that client organization is. Let's imagine that we have a health insurance organization which sells insurance packages to companies who want to cover their employees' medical needs. And let's call it heart insurance. And what problem is heart insurance facing? Heart insurance has seen significant amounts of customer churn, which means that corporate companies are not renewing their annual health policies and are instead taking their business to competitor insurers. As an organisation that relies so heavily on repeat revenue from existing customers, this is a major issue for heart insurance. Revenue is decreasing month on month, and this is affecting share price. The problem is, heart insurance has no idea what is causing all these customers to leave. And as we all know, knowing the root cause of a problem is the first step to trying to fix it. You are strategy consultants. Heart Insurance issues an RFP, a request for proposal, that invites a number of different strategy consultancies to propose how they would analyse this problem and how they would come to a recommended solution as to how to fix it. Some example strategy consultancies might be McKinsey, Bain, BCG, LEK. Heart Insurance selects a strategy consultancy on the basis of their proposal, their response to the RFP, which includes their price, and also on the basis of their reputation. The selected consultancy staffs a team and begins work for Heart Insurance. The staffed team has experience in the health insurance industry and also with typical reasons for customer churn. In this scenario, they think that the 4 potential reasons for customer churn could be product experience, customer service experience, competitor activity, and price point. They conduct a number of different interviews with stakeholders across Heart Insurance, and they also perform research, both online and internally within their own company, with known consulting experts. There are standardized criteria that this team have used before to evaluate product experience and customer service experience. So the team uses these criteria to perform their assessment on these 2 categories. The results show that much of these criteria are being met satisfactorily, but there does seem to be an issue with customers getting set up on their health insurance products after they bought it. There are some profile creation complexities that they learn that customers seem to struggle with. And in some instances, customers just give up and don't even create profiles at all. In addition, these profile creation complexities are driving huge numbers of queries into the customer service teams, especially at the start of the calendar year, which is typically when the bulk of new customers sign up. Customer service teams just can't process the volumes of queries in peak period times fast enough. And this only exacerbates the problems for customers trying to get set up. For the second 2 potential reasons for customer churn, competitor activity and price point, the team also conducts some market research. No major learnings result. Although competitors aren't seeing the same level of retention issue, and so this isn't an industry-wide problem. Also, price points of health insurance seem to be very similar to competitors, so customers aren't leaving to go and get a better deal elsewhere. So the team concludes that the key reason for churn is the onboarding experience. Customers actually aren't getting set up to even use the product to begin with, and so when it comes to renewal, they're not renewing and they're just leaving and going elsewhere. Now the team has to propose how to fix this problem. There are a number of potential options for recommendations, including things like improving the product experience and increasing customer service capacity. But the best practice solution that this team knows to recommend is the creation of a customer success management team, or CSM team. A CSM team is responsible for getting customers set up and using the product so that they get the value from it. And they're also responsible for ensuring that a year later, when it comes to renewal, that customer is getting so much value that they want to renew. The team models some high-level numbers here, just to confirm that the cost of creating a whole new team would be outweighed by the revenue retained because of that team, and the high-level business case does stack up. The team then documents all of their findings and recommendations in a final Word document with accompanying PowerPoint slides for an overview presentation. Health Insurance is really happy with these findings and recommendations, especially as they seem so much more in keeping and realistic than what was presented by a different consultancy last year. Health Insurance now wants to implement a CSM team, but they think to themselves, how on earth can they do that? Cue IT consultants. Now, setting up a new team to solve a problem might seem quite simple on the face of it, but in reality, it involves a whole host of really complex activities. Where in the organization is this team going to fit? Who will it report to? What will be the responsibilities of this new team? What will the handoff point be from sales to this CSM team to introduce a new customer for onboarding? How will their work align with existing customer service processes? For example, if a customer wants to call in about a profile creation issue, do they call customer service or do they call their CSM manager? Which tools will CSM use to work with their customers? Which tools will track and monitor and report on their progress? Who gets the credit when customers eventually start to renew? Will it be CSM or will it be sales? Again, Heart Insurance issues another RFP, inviting a number of different IT consultancies to propose how they would help them set up a CSM function. Example consultancies might be Accenture, PwC, EY, Deloitte, Capgemini. And again, Heart Insurance makes the decision based on proposal, price, reputation. And in this instance, they also consider which consultancy knows their business the best inside out through many years of working together. A consultancy is chosen and they staff a team to get to work. But before creating any new processes or new tools or new job descriptions for new hires, this team gathers together a number of different stakeholders from across Heart Insurance into a series of innovation workshops in an entrepreneurial location. There's still a lot of blue sky thinking to be done around what this team's going to look like, what they're going to do, and how they're going to work. And it helps to bring all the right people into a creative location to break through orthodoxies and to consider all potential options. A vision is formed, and stakeholders are really excited about its potential. And with this new vision, we need a new business case, because we now know a lot more about the realities of how this team is going to work. We can create much more detailed estimated cost breakdowns now, and make much better projections on retained revenue. The team works closely with client stakeholders to design this new business case, and it does indeed reconfirm that it's still the right thing to do. They also work closely together on mapping out the roles and the capabilities required. In fact, the whole target operating model needs to be designed, and responsibilities need to be clear in every corner of that model. Each new person on this CSM team needs to be so clear on exactly what it is that they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And so it's not just job descriptions and capabilities that need to be defined, it's also end-to-end processes and new tools that need to be spec'd out. The consulting team has a number of different business and technology experts. It has experts in the health insurance industry, it has CSM experts, and it has experts in the technologies that have been selected to support the CSM team. It also has experts in change and training, people who can train up the new CSM team, communicate across the client organization exactly what's happening at all times, and ultimately create a movement that inspires and excites employees in the client organization to make this new team successful. The project runs for about 6 months before the first set of processes and tools are ready and live, and the first new hires are brought into the CSM team. Every few weeks thereafter, on a regular basis, more and more capability will be introduced into this function, with expanding processes and new functionality built into the tools. What won't continually expand, though, is the people hired onto the Heart Insurance CSM team, because the target operating model and the business case have outlined an outsourcing approach for the part of the team that's going to support the highest volume, lowest value customers. Outsourcing this part of the team is going to keep Heart Insurance's costs lower by taking advantage of a centralized, optimized, and continuously upskilled function owned by a third party. The other thing that can now start to be outsourced is the continuous delivery of technical updates to the tools supporting the CSM team. An IT consultancy is only ever there temporarily to help get everything set up, and will always intend in the end to hand the responsibility for new processes and tools back to the client. But after all, Heart Insurance is an insurance company and not a tech company, and so it makes much more sense for Heart Insurance to find a technical company to own the continuous development updates to these tools on a longer term basis. Cue outsourcing consultancies. Once again, Heart Insurance goes to tender, and this time they choose the consultancy that has the best global capability for CSM teams and CSM tech. Some example outsourcing consultancies might be TCS, Cognizant, and just to make things confusing, most of the IT consultancies I mentioned earlier also have outsourcing arms, and they even have strategy arms too. So back to our CSM project. It's now been running for almost a year, and Heart Insurance has a fully functioning CSM team in place, using new tools and new processes to support the customer onboarding experience, including profile creation. The IT consultants that initially helped get everything set up have largely rolled off, but the outsourcing consultants now represent part of that CSM team, and typically they are dealing with the lower value customers of Heart Insurance. But customers who speak to that outsourcing team have no idea that they're not speaking to Heart Insurance employees, because these people are specifically trained in the Heart Insurance products and know them inside out. Technology improvements are also continuously being delivered to the CSM tools, and they're being delivered by another outsourcing consultancy. This consultancy has resources who are specially trained in these particular technologies, so they're able to really maximize the value. And ultimately, Heart Insurance's customers are now getting the value from the product that they've bought. There's been a great improvement in retention, which has increased revenue, and now the share price has actually recovered too. In fact, customer satisfaction ratings at Heart Insurance are now surpassing its competitors who don't have CSM teams in place. So the project really has delivered the outcomes it was intended to. A long old story, but a successful collaboration between Heart Insurance and 3 different types of consultancy for the 3 different phases of problems. Number 1, understanding the problem. Number 2, implementing a solution. And number 3, creating sustainability and scalability. And we've seen exactly where different types of consultancies are relevant for each of those phases of problem. In reality, it might be the case that a client organization decides to take a strategic decision without the advice of a strategy consultancy. Or they might decide to keep everything in-house and not outsource anything. It could be that they decide not to act on the recommendations of a strategy consultancy, or that they want to amend those recommendations on the basis of advice from the IT consultancy they bring in. For example, if that detailed business case hadn't stacked up, then perhaps the IT consultancy would have been able to recommend something that did. Also, there could be pauses of any length between any of those 3 phases. But the key to remember here is that it's all a spectrum. The same client problem has all 3 phases of work. It starts off very broad and undefined, and it ends very well defined. I personally really enjoy working in the middle of this spectrum, because it's where you have to really tackle with the meat of the problem. You're simultaneously brought into strategic blue sky thinking conversations and detailed technical solution conversations. You're continuously converting ideas into reality. You're always held to account because you're there when your blue sky derived solution actually impacts your client's business, and you get to see it play out. So that's my framework for understanding the different types of work that different consultancies do and the kinds of problems that they each solve. I think it's great to think about it as a spectrum, because it's not only a visual representation of how a problem moves through to resolution, it's also much easier to understand where different consultancies sit in relation to each other, and also how any one particular consultancy might expand to occupy more than one part of that spectrum. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, then let me know by clicking the like button. If you'd like to see what I post next, then definitely subscribe to my channel. Social media links are below if you'd like those, and if you have any questions or comments in the meantime, then feel free to use the comments below and I'll do my best to answer absolutely everything. In the meantime, I hope you have a great day, and I wish you all the best with your exploring.